nervous?
No.
Where's your answer?
Dennis Beckham, let the ball on! Dennis Beckham! Dennis Beckham! Dennis Beckham! Dennis Beckham! Oh! Oh, no! Oh, yes! He missed it.
Welcome to the Suffering from Joy podcast. My name's Devin. Never heard of this Copa Tejas thing. Don't know what anybody's talking about, but tough one. A very mentally fragile 2-2 draw that feels like a loss against in-state rivals. Fuck the Houston Dynamo. We got to talk about it because that's what we do here. Scott, how are you feeling today?
I feel as though this podcast is very aptly named because we do have to talk about this. We talk a lot in soccer about how draws can feel like wins and they can feel like losses, and this is the most loss-feeling draw I can remember in a while.
Yeah, I mean, had the reverse for our good friends at Dorking with a 99th minute equalizer, so that's a draw that feels like a win. This is definitely a draw that feels like a loss. Brad, how are you feeling today?
First draw that feels like a loss since Atlanta. I've got some stats that I looked up this morning that are just going to make this a whole lot more painful, guys. So just get the suffering started.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I think we're going to be much heavier on the suffering today. I don't think anybody's expecting anything else. At least if you didn't watch the game, maybe you were like, oh, maybe I'll find out what happened then. But if you have any idea what happened, then yes, you're going to be expecting plenty of suffering here. So I want to start with the elephant in the room, and we can talk about the penalty / referee, and then we'll talk about the game, just so it's out of the way. Because whenever we have games like this, it's where there's a huge officiating decision. I always hate, if I'm listening to something back and then they're like 50 minutes and I'm like, talk about the fucking ref, talk about the call. So I want to get that going. Scott, what are your thoughts? Penalty, no penalty?
I think it's probably a penalty, but I think they got to the result of it being a penalty in the worst process possible. Mainly because I think it's a pretty debatable penalty, and the referee, if you go back and look at the replay, is staring right at the incident when it happens. And this idea that somehow VAR is a better judge of what happened than the referee who's 10 feet away looking directly at it is kind of ridiculous to me. Not to mention that play continued after that incident happened. Another foul was called. They waited an entire minute, including holding up the restart for a VAR check to happen, to the point that Houston players were complaining about time wasting because they thought Stuver was doing it because he was the one over the free kick. It then took a few extra minutes to make a VAR check, which, again, going back to the point of VAR, is that it's supposed to be, quote, clear and obvious. And the reason why that is such a perfect bullshit phrase for refereeing is that clear and obvious is different for everybody. And in the subject of penalties, everything is subjective.
Yep. Brad, what's your take? Penalty, no penalty?
Yes, it's a foul, which therefore makes it a penalty. I liken it to, I think it was earlier this year, Owen Wolf was running away from the box and got fouled from behind, and we got a PK that way. It was either Owen or Diego. It was one of the two. Similar play. Taylor took out the guy's Achilles. That's a foul. But agree with the process. A conversation from Scott. Clear and obvious is the standard. I watched this game on TV last night. Scott, I know you were at the stadium. But if you have to stand there and rewind the play 20 different times over the course of about 3 minutes, you are not getting a clear and obvious view. If you see it in the first 2 or 3 looks like, okay, yeah, I'm looking at it once. Yep, I see it. I'm going to look at it again to just confirm. Okay, fine. I don't really have a problem with that. I do think it's a foul. I do think it's a penalty. But the process is wrong. And we need to have a real conversation in this league about, does there need to be a time limit on what a clear and obvious is? Should you only have a minute to look this over as a ref as opposed to 3 or 4? Because if you can't make the decision in a minute, then it's clearly not clear.
Yeah, I'm kind of on it's 50-50, Taylor kind of kicks him in the back of the leg, up to you if you decide that's enough for a foul or not. The referee saw it in real time and decided it wasn't. For me, this is not a VAR penalty, clearly. not a VAR penalty. Because as Scott said, the ref's 10 feet away. The standard is clear and obvious error, and that means the referee or the VAR has to show the referee something the referee didn't see. So either the referee's fucking blind and shouldn't be on the fucking field, or it's not a clear and obvious error. The other question I have is, if this game is 2-2, do you think they make that call? Because I don't. I think this is it's 2-0. Let's spice it up a little bit. Call, like, yeah, it's 50-50, but they lean towards making it a little bit more of a game.
I agree, mostly because I feel like this ref didn't want to make a lot of big decisions, especially when it came to yellow card accumulation fouls or clear yellow card fouls toward the end, of really kind of like holding his whistle, or just like, or I guess not holding his whistle because he still called them fouls, but like keeping the cards in the pocket when, the most egregious one was, I think it was like the 86th minute, Griffin Dorsey just completely runs over Owen Wolf with no intention to get the ball. It's such an obvious yellow card, and he just like calls the foul.
There was another one right after that where Danny beats like two guys who were literally like hauling him down from behind, and like loses the ball, and the ref's like, oh, they played advantage. It's like, no, that's when you go back and then you give one of those guys a yellow card. Like, what are you doing? I guess the other note I wanted to put on here on the penalty is the guy's clearly looking for it. If you look how he falls, like, that doesn't necessarily make it not a foul, but like that makes me really inclined to be like, yeah, sorry, buddy.
Yeah, and unfortunately, correct, Matt, I was actually not at the match last night, but I go back to the like non-penalty against New England that Owen should have gotten. That is so much more of a penalty than this. Like, he's not even facing the goal. He's not even like really in control of the ball. Like, if you bring in all the factors in, like, I see why the referee live didn't call it a penalty, because it doesn't really look like one. And that's part of my, issue with the process is this didn't need a VAR check. Like, there's no reason why this is, besides VAR specifically saying, hey, you did this wrong, even though you were 10 feet away and staring right at it. And if that's the standard, like you said, he shouldn't be an official.
Yeah, and I mean, you've heard this conversation in Premier League circles a million times, I'm sure, but like, this is not when people were like, hey, should we put technology into the game? Like, this is not the shit they wanted it for. Or the toenail offside or shit like that.
The funnier part to me is, if you go back and watch the game, the Apple commentators flat out talk about how it's not a penalty. And even when the referee signals for the VAR check, they still say, okay, time for a hydration break, because it never occurred to them that this would get called back.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm not surprised that they went to VAR eventually, or overall, because, well, MLS, and also we've already established on this show that there's a conspiracy in Arlington against us with the Dallas fans. So prove me wrong.
Starting to believe it.
How many? Well, it's 3 straight games with a PK against us, and how many are VAR reviewed?
Yeah.
So, and I don't know, man. I don't understand how you're 10 feet away and you don't make the call initially. That's the bigger issue. That issue and the issue of how long it took to review are the two big things that I have a problem with. I'm with you guys. It feels like VAR stepped in and didn't say, hey, you should look at this, but it's like, you completely missed this and you made the wrong call. So it's either need to be a centralized conversation at the league level. Like, if you're going to, you guys, if you watch SEC football, right? Like, reviews go to a center in Birmingham, Alabama, and they make the review decision, not the referee on the field. So this either needs to be a centralized thing or it needs to be ref's discretion. It can't be one or the other.
That feels like it changes game by game too. And
yeah.
I mean, that's the other problem I have with this penalty is, if you guys think back to the long ago of February and March, like not just Austin FC, but like league-wide, there were dudes getting giant chunks taken out of them in games without VAR stepping in and giving calls. You look at those and then you look at this and you go, well, what the hell are we doing here? Like, there are probably 10 that, in the first 2 or 3 weeks that didn't get VAR overturned to penalties that are worse than this.
Yeah.
How about this? In the first half, Austin is playing a 1-2 with Owen Wolf, who has the Houston defenders beat in the box, and they drag him down.
Yep.
So he can't get to the ball, and it's not a penalty. The ref's staring right at it, doesn't make the penalty call. Fine, but in the second half, the standard is now, hey, you got that wrong. You have to come back and review it. That was a penalty because they dragged a player down who was going to get a scoring chance. Like, you could even argue that's a dog, so to be honest.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, we can't even get consistency in one game. And like I thought the guy was bad all night. I with you, like the yellow cards were, fucking roll of the dice. I have no idea what you're doing. MLS gonna MLS, I suppose. But you guys want to talk about the ref anymore? Can we move on?
No, we're good.
Okay. That's not why we didn't take 3 points in this game. It's a factor. It pissed me off. It's definitely a trigger event in the game, and we probably take 3 points if that doesn't happen. But they score that penalty, and we have about 10 minutes of regular time left, and what ended up being 9 minutes of added time. Don't let them score again. Go score another goal. Could have scored, a few times before that. There were a lot bigger problems in this game, especially as a team. Like, you can get mad at the ref. Sure. I think it's a bad call for VAR to step in, but like, that's what 10 to 15% of this, that causes us drop points here.
That Nico deciding not to sub 3 of his guys until the 90th minute after, we've only been playing a game a week. I know we had a friendly last week, so they did stay somewhat in shape, but they didn't play a full 90. Like we got reports out of that scrimmage last week that Boloko and a few other guys were getting minutes that normally wouldn't. The biggest concern to me, yes, blowing it to a lead, I get it, but the consistent misuse of subs by Nico this season is alarming. This isn't the first, second, or third time that we have been on this show complaining about how late he will implement subs and just leave guys out there to die. Last night, it looked like we were exhausted in the 65th, 70th minute. It was hot. We had a 2-0 lead. If there's ever a time to bring in defensive subs and just kill a game, it's a 2-0 lead at home in the 70th minute or 65th or whatever the case may be. And instead, we're leaving players out there to just drag ass. Didn't make any sense to
me. To kind of toot Ben Olsen's horn a little bit here, which is not something we normally do. He made a sub at halftime when they were down 2-0. He brought somebody else on in the 57th minute, and he brought on 2 more attackers in the 70th minute. That uses up 4 of his 5 subs and 2 of his 3 windows. At 70, those subs are what won them the game because they had better legs and they were just able to do more in terms of imposing their energy and their will on Austin in the last 30 minutes. Whereas Austin brings on Sabovich and Taylor at 71 and then doesn't bring anybody else in until 90. Nico had a golden chance that every coach wants, which is that you're up 2 goals and the other team has to adjust. And then you are able to use your subs to make your adjustments to them when they are out of being able to make more substitutions. Like he actually could have utilized his subs in a way that set his team up to kill the game off. And he actively chose not to. And in a hot night, in a humid night, he left his players out there when they were out of gas. If you're going to bring on all these guys, do it 10 minutes sooner, do it 15 minutes sooner, and respond to all of their subs by using your own subs when they can't do anything to change what they're doing on the field. Like, this is a coach's dream. Like Jose Mourinho talks about this a lot of, you can tell who's losing by who has to sub first. And his like tactical manager mind is always, I want to make subs last because the other guy can't make adjustments to my adjustments.
Yeah, I mean, this is literally a thing in like every sport you watch. Like, we'll talk about drives in college football and one team will adjust based on what happened. And, in hockey, you have, the team that gets put out their line first is at a disadvantage because then the other team can go, oh, that's their scoring line. We'll put out our bruisers to kind of check them out of the game and shit like that. So like, I get if, it's tough and we're kind of scraping for a goal and it's 0-0 and we really need a win or something. But yeah, like you said, this is what you want as a coach.
And not just that, but even if you think that Houston's going to make another sub, like who on their bench is going to make any difference for them? They have 3 defenders and a midfielder on the bench. You didn't play, you could have brought on Kolmanich to help out with defense. You could have brought out Dubrasarski to help out in defense. Just putting out Gallagher and fresh legs makes sense. Like you have a lot of good options here, and Nico just chose to do none of them.
Yeah, I was amazed Gallagher didn't come on way sooner.
I don't know why Gallagher came on at the right back position. Well, he's more effective for us at right wing right now than Obrian is. And I didn't see that Dessler was struggling out there too much. Could be wrong, but didn't seem like it to me. So I didn't get Galley playing back versus more forward. I don't understand why you have someone like Dubersarski on the team who is a younger version of Elie in a lot of ways. And instead bringing on Sabovic, who is better, more forward than he is playing more back. I know we dropped Danny back some once that sub was made, but there's a lot of there are moves that we could have made, and I guess Nico even said last night, like prior to, I think it was either the second goal, we were about to go to 5 at the back. But again, that's something you could have done far, far earlier. And yes, I know the PK foul was a sub being made, but you can argue that because the rest of the team is so damn tired, Houston gets more possession and starts getting into deeper into our zone. So yes, it's a dumb foul, but Houston was never threatening until about that time of the game, the entire night. So,
yeah, I actually thought the beginning of the second half, like you said, before all these guys got tired, we did a really good job of kind of breaking up the game and making it boring. And, we're getting a couple chances, but nothing's really happening. And then they get that little back heel flick from Linger and the world ends.
I'll preview my moment of suffering. In the game chat last night on LV Slack, I legitimately typed out the words in about the 65th minute. This is the one upside of Nico, is if you get a lead like this, he's really good at killing a game off.
Well, you spoke it into the universe.
That I said that later on. So
yeah.
Well, for those of us who, or for any of you who don't subscribe to Phil West's Substack, and you should, apparently Nico talked about going to 5 at the back and then changed after the goal, but that's when you need to do that more. And even then, if you're going to sub out, like, if you want to make offensive subs and still bring defense on, if you take Dessler off for Galley and bring Kolmanich on, you actually increase your ability to counterattack by having 2 wide backs and 3 defenders. And then you still could bring on Dubersarski and Danny and Sabovic to sit in front of them. And so you're still defending with, 6 or 7 plus whatever you do with your forwards. And like, it boggles my mind that this is the tactical plan of somebody who, gets talked about as being very good tactically, and it's just a complete failure on Nico's part in the second half.
He did make the correct call and throw on Fodry at least for a little bit. All right, I was trying to be positive. Talk about the second goal for them. I think it goes unnoticed from people how much this is also Robert Taylor's fault. Balls pulled back. Yeah, we should be defending because they had so much space on both wings getting late in this game. And they were basically pinging in free crosses however much they wanted. But this is a good pullback. And, Robert Taylor, you are a sub. You just came on. You have fucking legs. Run. Let's McGlynn go unchecked. Yeah, it's a good shot. It's an unlucky deflection. It goes in. But, if you're, have an arm on the guy and making him off balance, he's not hitting it with any kind of power. And that's not even a possibility. So, again, you're a sub. I don't know why you're not running with your guy.
I've been banging this drum a little bit now because there's been a lot of clamoring in this fan base for Robert Taylor to start, and I don't understand why Robert Taylor's not getting minutes and blah, blah, blah. If you look at Robert Taylor and Hot Air Obrian side by side, and then do me a favor, take out that little stretch where Robert Taylor was not playing with Messi and Suarez next to him. You tell me who the better player has been in MLS history. It's Hot Air Obrian. Your answer is right there. The idea that Robert Taylor was going to come in, I was excited when we got him because I thought he might be a nice depth piece for this team. But the idea that Robert Taylor was going to come in and be anything more than what he has been his entire career in this league, which is bang average. Nice, seems like a nice guy, but from an on-field perspective in MLS standards, he has not been fantastic in this league. I think everybody remembers that Leagues Cup run where he had crazy numbers. And for a couple of months, it was doing really, really well with Miami. But I think that's a function of, oh shit, Messi just showed up. And everybody has to pay attention to, turns out this guy's really good, the greatest of all time, arguably. And at least Robert Taylor running wide open in spaces. He doesn't have that luxury here. And now he's back playing a normal left wing style position where he has to kind of do things on his own. He's back to being who he's always been.
I'll also say this. I don't think he's the guy you should bring in when you're trying to defend a lead. Like, when we've seen Taylor play well, he's come on when we're losing and is able to provide more link-up play and passing and a little more possession and trickery. And he can do that. So why are you bringing him in when you were protecting 2 goals? Because he's not a strong counterattacker in the way Obrian is. Because he doesn't have that kind of pace. And it just seems like a disservice to how you're using your roster then. To try and have somebody who's an offensive attacking player defend. Like, again, we're going back to like basic problems of this strategy, what's going on, and there's just kind of like so many little things like that don't make sense. I think Taylor's a fine piece for like a stopgap. I don't think his contract goes past this year, which is fine.
Yeah, I mean, Brad, you said you look at, Hot Air Obrian and Robert Taylor, and you know which one you'd pick, and my answer is the transfer market. So,
well, yeah, no. I'm just saying
or
side
CJ.
by side. If you had to choose on a blind test side by side, if you really look at their numbers and look at what they've done in the league, Hot Air Obrian's a more accomplished player in this league.
Yeah, well, it's not been lighting it on fire either. So more CJ. That's my theory.
Correct answer. Yes.
Yeah. Because at the very least, CJ's going to run the whole time. And he's going to provide enough space, enough size in the box to help you on set pieces, defending and attacking. Like, throw him on. He's going to run for 20 minutes. Taylor doesn't.
Not only is he going to run, he's combative defensively.
Yeah. Well, and if you're bunkered in too, he's a big lad. Kick it to the big lad.
Yeah.
This is like football.
He has shown that in MLS games he can hold the ball up and get fouled and retain that possession in that way. Like, I would much rather see that than Taylor.
Yeah. Can I throw some fun stats at you guys?
Yeah, let's do that because I do want to talk about the happy stuff, but I assume these are depressing.
Some of them are. Some of them aren't. I think this is a wild dichotomy of numbers I'm about to throw at you.
All right, that's time with Brad. Woo! I'll get.
What if I told? Okay, Austin's played the last 7 matches. We all know what happened in May. How many points per game are we averaging in our last 7 matches?
I think it's something like 1.1 because there's a bunch of draws in there.
I was going to go higher, like 1.4.
You're both way too low. It's 2.
Oh, wow.
So this is why I'm like, yes, I'm pissed about last night. I'm not in sky is falling mode, as a lot of folks are. 2 points per match in the last 7 for Austin. Could have been more. Should have been more after last night, quite frankly. But there's only 1 loss in that stretch. Now, here's the depressing shit. Do we have more wins at home or on the road this year?
Road,
and it's not close.
No, it's close. Right. 4 home wins versus 5 road wins.
Yeah, all we do at home is draw. That
is the answer. So, out of the last 7 matches we have played at home, 6 of them. 6 out of the last 6 matches we played at home, 5 have been draws. And 2 of those have been late draws from a winning position. Last night in Atlanta. If you go back and look at Nico and Dallas, specifically 2023 Dallas, we look statistically and form-wise a whole lot like 2023 Dallas. That year, I think I have the number right. They had 10 home draws. Oh, no, 7 home draws. They had 7 home draws in 2023 in Dallas. I think they were 7-7 and what is the number? 3 at home. 7 wins, 7 losses, 3 draws. We are on a very similar trajectory. Would you like to remember where that Dallas team finished in the standings?
8th, 9th.
7th.
Yeah.
Which is about the trajectory we're on and where we sit in the standings right now. So if you'd like to see our fate, look 3 hours north and look 2 years behind.
No. I don't think the sky is falling, but FCito did the exact same thing on Friday, where you had a chance to really like pull away from the pack and cement yourself as like a solid, the world has to actually end for you to not make the playoffs, and we're just not taking advantage of it, and it's going to bite us in the ass later, because it always does.
I mean, if you think of Atlanta, New England in this match, that's 6 points dropped at home. And if you add 6 points into Austin, that puts us into 4th.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is what we talk about when like they're just like little margins of error either way, that, this could be a much better team with just a couple of results going different ways. And to go to what Nico kind of talked about in the presser last night, like with better refereeing calls.
Mute.
Apologies. So you don't need New England. Just take out Atlanta in last night, and you are tied for 4th this morning as we sit. If you just close out those 2 games at home, even if you just take out last night, like win last night, you're up 2-0 in the 70th. Yes, we are still in 7th place, but you have a 5-point cushion on 8th, where the play-in game starts, and you have 2 games in hand. Like, this is the shit where you're just leaving points. I still think this team's going to make the playoffs. I think the bottom of the West is just absolute shit, and nobody there can really make a run.
And getting worse, because Colorado just traded away Mihailovic. They're done.
I don't think there's anybody below us that can realistically make a run and string together a bunch of points fast. So I think we're good enough to, considering the rest of our schedule, to find 11 more points, which is 45, and I think 45 is probably good for 7th this year, to be honest with you, with the way the West is shaking out. What do we have? 10 games to go? Like, we need 1.1, 1.2 a match. If we just stay on our season average, what's 34 divided by 24 or whatever the number is? Yeah, we're on
1.42.
We're on 1.42. Yeah. So, but hold on, so we're on a 1.42 average. If we stay on that similar that track the rest of the season, we're home free and we're in the playoffs. I know people are pissed. I want to go back to the beginning of the season. If I offered you a guaranteed Open Cup semifinal and a guaranteed playoff space, would you have looked at me and turned it down, considering the last 2 seasons?
Of course not.
This is progress. And as much as I don't like the way Nico coaches, I think it's kind of at times, and I think his sub patterns are shit. This is progress. This is actually good. And we lost one of our freaking DPs, by the way, halfway through the season.
Yeah, we are unfortunately also, I think we're in a good spot still. We're at 34 points. You're probably, like you said, let's call it 46 points. You win, 4 games the rest of the year with our schedule. We should be able to do that. But we are lined up for my nightmare scenario, which is we go to San Jose on deadline day. We lose to San Jose and end up in the 9 slot and have to go to San Jose to play the 8-9 game. And then we're out of the playoffs. And then the front office counts that as us making the playoffs and keeps Nico on.
That's too likely, to be honest. And going back to Brad's point about the bottom of the West, LA, St. Louis, Sporting KC, Houston, Dallas, Colorado, that's 6 teams that are bad and are going nowhere. And those are all in the West. And I don't see any of them magically getting like Colorado's currently at 30 points in 25 games. How many more points do you think that Colorado team's getting? Do you think they're getting 10 more? Yeah. I just don't see anybody. I don't think anybody 10 or below right now gets to 40.
Yeah, I mean, and then you look at the other side. We have one more East game. It's against the second worst team in the East, in Montreal. We better be able to get something out of that match, if not a win, at minimum a draw. You get San Jose twice. We get Dallas twice. there's two teams right now on the schedule left the entire season that are above the playoff line. And they're both at home. Seattle and LAFC. This is a schedule that sets up, and it started last night. Like, we needed to get the full 3 last night. But this is a schedule where over the last 11 games, if we can't find 17, 18 points, unless the 11 started last night, by the way, this is the last 11 game stretch against this schedule. If we can't find 17 or 18 points, then there are bigger problems.
I don't even think we need that many points. I think that if Austin wins against Dallas at home next week and wins at Montreal the week after, we're a playoff team.
I don't think we need that many. I just think against this schedule, 17 or 18 needs to be the minimum goal.
Yeah, I'd like to avoid the play-in game, and I'd especially like to avoid a road play-in game, even though I don't think that road and home has been that determinative of the winner of that. But I have to go back and look.
You guys, Devin, you said your nightmare scenario is San Jose back-to-back and all that stuff. Have we considered the fact that we might have to play Minnesota 6 times this year?
That would be true sicko stuff, though. So that would be kind of, and we like, as much as you like other teams, like I fucking hate Michael Boxall, but like we like the Minnesota fans.
Also, like, that's how you get rivalries.
Yes.
Like, you get rivalries by playing teams multiple times in games that count. And playing Minnesota in the playoffs after having a semifinal is how you start a rivalry.
And this, by the way, is why the NHL has the best playoff system out there. But yeah, I think we'll, even if we win, like, let's call it half of our remaining games, we're at 34 points right now. That puts us at 49. That's an easy playoff team. My other concern is that you can be a flawed team, make the playoffs, and do well, but one of the flaws you can't have is choking away leads, like we seem to be fairly good at doing. And I think that's part of the frustration.
Except in the first round, because then it would just go to PKs, and then you have Stuber in PKs, and I feel good about that.
But that's only one round. Well, I mean, I guess they could theoretically
go to 120 every time and go after that, and then go to PKs.
Do they do the 3-game first round? Is that 120? I thought they each went 90.
No, the best of 3 is 90 in the first round, but then after that, it's 120 PKs.
Okay.
Single elimination.
Okay, that's what I thought. I just didn't explain it well.
God, Nico will kill some of our players by never taking them out if that happens. This legitimately is my biggest criticism of Nico, is that Nico is Mr. Run It Back and not make subs. Like, he picks his team and then is just like, guys, go.
So on the run it back conversation, so we can get to the start of the game, I actually thought the lineup was right. Like, this is 3 straight weeks with those 3 straight games where the lineup's been the same. It's been good. We had scored 6 goals. I mean, this lineup has now scored 8 goals in 3 starts before any subs come in, right? Or, well, I guess there were subs in the DC game. But this lineup has been effective, scoring goals early and getting leads.
Diego Rubio's movement as a 10 and being able to link play is really what has been missing. And I know that everybody wants the new attacking midfielder, but he's doing the job right now. And in a time period where we're not playing as much, it does work. Going back all the way back to the ref conversation, I thought Diego drew multiple yellow cards that were not called. And honestly, I think that the Houston defender who got brought in as a sub, who was the one making the fouls, was lucky not to get sent off.
Yeah, totally agree on that. Philosophical question, as we'll segue in here. Is Ilie's goal an open play goal?
Nah, it's still a set piece to me.
I'm with you, but there are some people who would argue unless it's directly scored off of that. But I'm with you.
Give all credit to the set piece coach and the ball by Owen, because Ilie was running free and Owen put it on a platter, as he did several times last night. Owen was, again, just absolutely phenomenal last night.
Yeah, I don't know if we ran literally like a back and a front screen at the same time, or they got lost or what, but that was so much space wide open on the penalty spot in the middle of the box. It's a good header. Get it low, make sure it's on net, follow your own shot. Like, this is like a coach's fundamentals classic. But to have that much space is just insane. Houston
is a bad defensive team. If you watch them play, especially if you watch them in Leagues Cup, they are a bad defensive team. And this is what happens. I think the biggest conversation about, or the bigger conversation about, is it a set piece goal or not, is that it goes to show how important set piece creation is in terms of creating scoring opportunities in the box. And like we have preached for years now of, hey, if you put it in the box and put it on net, good things can happen. And this is the definition of that.
Well, I mean, you look at both of their goals. Like the first one is just a scramble after a corner, put the ball in a dangerous area. The second one is late in the game, whack it and hope you get lucky. So, yeah, I mean, put the ball in dangerous areas, it works. Anything else we want to talk about on the first goal?
I don't even know if it's the first goal, but even leading up to the goal, I felt like the team was playing free-flowing soccer. It was creative. I mean, go back before that, and Owen put one right on a platter for Bucati. And if Bucati has any height to him, like I feel like that if CJ's in that spot, and I'm not saying start TJ over Bucati, hear me out. I'm just saying from height difference. If CJ's there, that's a goal. So it's the emergence of Owen the last few weeks. And he'd been playing well all season. But I think even last night you can see how much more effective he is in wider spaces than he is in tight. There's this idea in the community, and I think because Owen grew up kind of playing central midfield, that, oh, Owen's just a central midfielder. I don't think he necessarily is. I think he's a winger that can play in those half spaces and tuck in and really offer overlap runs with Biru and things. Biru has been more effective with Owen on the left wing because Owen being able to tuck in and create things as well has allowed Biru to get on those overlapping runs and to find empty spaces where he wasn't before. I think Owen Wolff has been outside of Usman Bucati. I think he and Bucati have been by far and away the two shining stars of this team for the last month and a half.
Yeah, and I think part of it with Owen too is like physical profile, because like I'm definitely not immune to this, but like you think of wingers as like burners, like straight line runners, and you know there are plenty of good wingers that aren't that, but you sort of have to get over it in your brain, and especially when we see Owen in 45 different positions, it's kind of, you know, because even when he plays midfield, he sort of drifts out into some of those same left wingy areas.
Go ahead, Scott.
Sorry, what it reminds me of is a thing that a lot of Premier League teams did like 20 or 25 years ago, where they would have a left wing who is really more of a 10, and they would have them tuck inside all the time. Like I think of like Samir Nasri at City or Shinji Kagawa at United, like those kind of guys who allowed you to essentially play with another 10. It was just kind of like configured differently. And I think Owen's really good at that.
I was actually thinking this yesterday. Owen's 20 now. He made a play in the first half where he kind of just bullied someone off the ball. You go back to the DC game, and he dunked on a guy for a goal. His physical profile, he's getting legitimately just stronger, bigger, stronger, growing into his body. If you dropped Owen into a mid-level EFL championship team right now, he's pushing for starting minutes. And I think he's going to be really and truly the first guy we sell to Europe. And it's probably sometime in the next 12 months. If he keeps growing like this, he is right now a second-tier level player in England or lower-tier first-level player in France or something like that at some of the lower teams there. He can go do that.
My comparison for his progression is actually Jack McGlynn on Houston, who has gone from Philly, where they didn't want to sell him to Europe. And, you know, he goes to their MLS team. He gets a lot of minutes. He's playing in Gold Cup. He's the one who's getting linked to championship clubs left and right. And it's very clear that, like, at the end of the season, he's gone. And so I agree with Brad's timeline of probably in the next, like, 12 months, Owen's probably gone. And that's good for his career. Like, good for him.
Yeah, I do wonder, and it's kind of a double-edged sword here, like, does he push for that move sooner rather than later and maybe Hail Mary try to make a World Cup squad, or does he go, hey, I want to be around for the U.S. World Cup, maybe get some face time, because it's not like he's going to have trouble getting contacts at U.S. Soccer. Get that in there, then make my move in the summer so I can have a full training camp with the team. I can kind of see that going both ways.
I would say not for this World Cup, but I think after this one, he'll be at the right age profile for it.
Yeah.
And especially because this World Cup cycle, we don't have to qualify. So we miss out on all those matches that you normally have with a team and all those training camps. But for 2030, we will have to qualify and go through all of that again. And I think that 4-year cycle is really where we'll see Owen pop into the team.
Yeah, I think next summer the transfer makes the most sense.
Yeah, and it could also just be when he gets the opportunity.
Well, yeah, but I just post World Cup, post our start of a new season over in Europe just feels like the right time of when we should probably expect some kind of transfer rumors to really pop up for Owen.
Yeah. I do think at the end of the season is probably Danny's kind of last chance to go out there, but we'll see. Different problem for a different day. You want to talk about the second goal, which is also going on one of my favorite goals of the season list? So I used to play pickup basketball with a guy who literally had, I swear to God, he fell asleep just watching and one videos. And he would always say stand right here. Just wait. I'll get you the fucking ball. And this guy would do literally looked like a fucking parody of triple spin Cristiano Ronaldo, triple step over with a basketball, shit like that. Guy always got me the ball. And that's what that goal reminded me of.
So we need the PA announcer whenever Bukati gets balls and spaces like that, just start going, "Oh baby, oh here we go, hot sauce, oh baby." I need that to happen now.
Yeah, I would be on board with that.
Same. I think this is also kind of going back to what you talked about Biru being able to get forward. This is one of the advantages of having a player like Biru who has his size on the back post to finish chances like this.
Yeah, the play from Bukati though is on one of I don't often just go holy shit, but that was a holy shit moment. It was first of all, it just kind of looks like he's going one-on-one with a guy. Okay, fine. And getting pushed towards the line. It's when he cuts it back and then breaks, kind of takes a step through two players with the possession of the ball and then goes back towards the end line and still gets the pass off. That's when I was like, I have not seen anybody on this team remotely close to being able to do that. Even Driussi couldn't do stuff like that. Because Driussi his Rabonas are great. He's great in space. And that's what he was doing. Bukati can get in a phone booth and still beat you.
Yeah, literally the size of a phone booth, beats his own guy 3 times. Like you said, takes 2 touches, takes 2 other guys out of the game, takes it to the end line, beats his own guy again. Great cross, too. Very dangerous area. Even if Biru is not standing there should be somebody crashing. Put the ball in a good spot. Tell your teammates to look for it. Yeah, I will go back to all of the fucking haters in April when I was like, hey guys, Bukari's really good. Why do you want him benched? Well, I'm glad Nico listened because we do know he does listen to the show.
He did listen. He didn't bench him, and he plays him on the right exclusively now. Great job.
It's almost like some of us back in April were like, why are we playing this guy on the left at any point in our life? I don't know.
Put your best players in their best spots. It's not fucking complicated. Yeah. Jesus. All right. I did want to mention, too, we had quite a few chances, not only after Houston had scored, but kind of in the beginning of the second half to kill this game off. And we could have had a couple more in the first half, too. And I think that's really where I get frustrated with this team, because we should be solid defensively, but sometimes we're not. And this is definitely a game where we could have gone 3, 4, 5-0. If we get a third goal, this game's putting up some fun numbers, and they just give up. And I think that's really a killer instinct we need to develop. But I'm glad we're at the point that we're not we only score 1 goal a game now. We're at least putting a couple in, so it is progress.
Yeah, to kind of echo Brad's point about playing a lot of teams that are below the playoff line and worse than us, there's a certain amount of when you get up on those teams, the mentality changes of oh no, here we go again. And it's almost like when you get that second or third goal, it gives them permission to quit. And that's really what Austin needs to get to. Because I agree with you that if they get to a third goal last night, Houston quits. And Olsen probably changes how he manages that game in terms of who he's playing and their tactics. And Austin wins 4-5-0.
I thought we had learned that lesson in DC. Because we were up 2-0 at the half. DC comes out and dominates us the first 5-10 minutes of the second half and gets a goal quick, and it's 2-1. And then we get 4-1 before the late goal from Benteke on the PK. Like I thought we had figured this shit out. So that's where the frustration last night for me really lies, because it seems like that lesson wasn't learned.
Nope. But I mean, we did seem to attack more straight out of the gate. So, we got a little bit of time before the playoffs. That's really when we need to straighten it out. And it is weird to look at and say, well, that's really when we need to figure this out. But scrape together enough points to get in and then start winning games. What else can you do? All right, you guys want to go ahead and do format? Scott, I'll let you go first on your stock rising.
I'm going to go Owen Wolf. Another good set piece delivery. He's one of the most dangerous players on the team. I thought he was a little unlucky to not get a goal in a couple of situations. And like we were talking about, like he's going to be the first real player that the club sells to Europe to big money, and he deserves it because he's doing really well.
Yep. Brad, you want to go?
I'm going to go with Diego Rubio.
Yep.
I thought, and it's showing even more so, we're playing more direct with him in there. Last night especially, he had a few balls that were very audacious. Just, hey, let's kick it to the fast guy and see if they can win a foot race. That opened up the game. He also had one really nice crossing ball. I think it was to Owen on the left side. It was like Owen and Uzuni were running down, and it went over Uzuni. Owen was open, and it was the shot that Owen missed by like inches in the second half. That was a beautiful ball by Diego Rubio. I think he's getting a lot more comfortable with the way that we're playing, and he seems to be in a more comfortable position at the 10. We saw flashes of it, Scott, if you remember back at the San Diego game this year when he started and played that same position. And we're just a better team with him there.
Yeah, I agree. And, we kind of talked about it with the Vasquez injury. Like, look on the bright side, you got to make a tactical change, and we're reaping the rewards from it. But I'm going to go with El Capitan, Ilie. I did mention the last time we did a show that I thought he was near death. So I will go ahead and eat my words on that. And he looked good today. Played 70 minutes in the heat. Very good. Didn't look like he was lagging too much except right before he came off. Gets a goal, follows his own shot. Good day overall. We'll just honorarily say, even though his stock barely can get higher, we're all thinking Bukari would be the other one. I didn't think I was out of place speaking for everyone there. But we'll do the fun ones. Stock falling. Brad, you want to go first?
Well, we've got options galore. I can go esoteric. We can go quite literal. Literal is obviously Robert Taylor. He was awful. The PK give up, the lack of play on the second goal, really no creativity in what he was doing. I thought he was just really not good last night, as I think most of the fan base would agree. The esoteric one, though, might be Josh Wolf. If you look at that match, there were times where Houston looked a whole lot like 2023 and 2024 Austin. Slow, plodding, slowly getting pushed backwards while in possession. And it wasn't until when Olsen made changes and the game kind of dynamically flipped that they started playing more like a Ben Olsen team. And it's just very interesting to me that game in the first 60, 70 minutes felt extremely influenced by Josh on a Houston side, and it did not work well for them.
Yeah. All right. Scott, you want to
go? My stock falling is Nico and his lack of game management and lack of substitutions and being gifted what every coach wants, which is an early lead that you can, see the game out and be able to, make subs afterward and really kind of like control what's going on. And he just actively chose not to do that.
Yeah, my stock falling, and I sort of mentioned it earlier, is taking advantage of opportunities. No, the sky is not falling, but as I mentioned, FCTO did this on Friday too. completely outplay a team, walk out of there with a point when you really, really could have put some distance between yourself and the people behind you. Those are the kinds of things that good teams do. Win those games and solidify when they already have the advantage. And it's something we as an organization need to learn, because I don't think I've ever seen us really do that. We had a couple nice stretches in 22. A lot of those were come from behind, so it wasn't really the same like, hey, we're in control, like let's just, smush this under our foot. It was kind of like exciting, and I had a great time, but like there are certain things that good teams do over the course of a season that are just suffocating to other teams. Brad?
Oh, well.
Okay. All right. Well, I guess you want to give us your moment of suffering that you already previewed?
Yeah, well, I also have a second one. So the first one previewed was in the game chat last night. I specifically said when we're up 2-0 in about the 65th, like, I feel really good about this. Nico's teams are traditionally extremely good if they have a 2-goal lead. Of course, they end up blowing it, and Phil West reminds me afterwards of my comment. But the second one is actually something in the game we didn't hit on. It's the last kick of the game. Why in the blue hell is Danny Pereira taking a free kick over one of our DPs? Mirto Ozuni's on the field at that point. There is no reason that Danny should be talking off Mirto. And there is no reason Mirto should allow himself to be talked off of that free kick. Doesn't make sense to me. Bothered me to hell and back all night long.
See, I would have rather just had somebody clip that into the mixer than shoot, because there's no way we're fucking scoring from there. That was my bigger issue, but going for glory. All right. Scott, you want to go?
My moment of suffering is that every season there is a cup competition between all the teams in Texas, and there are 6 games total that determine the winner of this. There have only been 4 of those games played, and Austin is already eliminated. There are still 2 games left that Austin has to try to care about, but all they can do is play spoiler of preventing Dallas from winning it. If they win the games, or if they lose the games or draw them, then Houston wins.
Silver lining. Did we beat Houston in the only game that matters this year against Houston?
Correct.
Yes, I agree. The season at this point is get ourselves firmly into the playoffs and win Open Cup. My moment of suffering, we talked about it a couple of times. It's that Owen shot at the beginning of the second half that just barely misses the post. Because, as Brad mentioned, this is a great ball in from Rubio. We're kind of vibing, we're feeling it. Owen puts that away. I legitimately think we win this game 5-0. And then he gets to shove it in Dad's face and all that fun stuff. And there's a bunch of social media banter, and we all have a good week. But instead, we're here. All right, nonsense time. Seth isn't here, so we don't have a Rouge counter.
I don't have an official one, but I can tell you the update. There were some great Canadian football game leagues this week. Games this weekend. Thursday night, you had Montreal, who were playing Edmonton. And Edmonton had won 1 game all year. Montreal can't play a game that is anything more than 3 points, like on the spread. So, of course, they play another nail-biter, and Edmonton gets a last-minute comeback drive and wins. Fantastic football game. That was Friday night, actually. I forgot what Thursday night's game was, but that one was excellent. And then yesterday, the Toronto Argonauts were up 21-1 after the first quarter against the Ottawa Red Blacks. So Ottawa had a Rouge. Toronto lost 46-42. I don't know how that's possible.
As an Argos fan since 2024, this is heartbreaking.
It was awful. There was also
getting that tattoo removed.
There was also a point in that Montreal game where I was sitting there watching it, and I'm like, if he makes this field goal, I think it was like a 1-point game at the end. It was a 1-point game at the end. Montreal had the ball back for like 15 seconds. They were on like their own 20. I'm like, they got time to get a rouge here. And my whole mind is like, if they get a rouge, they can send this to overtime. And the last play, they catch it, and as he's running, the guy actually tries to punt the ball while he's running with it, but it doesn't go anywhere. It was amazing.
In other kicker news, in one of the preseason games, the Jaguars field goal kicker hit a 70-yarder, which is a both professional and collegiate record. Nobody's ever hit one from 70 before. And my first thought was, oh man, the reach potential of this guy.
Oh, yeah. But it's also not a record because it was preseason, so it doesn't count.
I think that counts for field goals. For me.
Yeah, but they don't. In the official books, it is not the longest field goal.
Yeah, but I'm talking about in my heart.
Okay. Yeah, that was interesting. That was a hell of a kick too. God, it was a hell of a kick.
And then we had championship football back, the most fun league, I think.
Yeah, Wrexham's going to learn hard what championship football is like.
Yeah, I watched the first half of the Wrexham game, and I was like, oh, they're not doing too bad. And I was also like, I recognize every single person out here. You've been kicking around that, championship promotion I see every few years players. I was like, that's weird. None of those guys from the documentary are on this. Yeah. But they ended up blowing a lead much worse than we did. They were up 1-0 and gave up 2 goals in stoppage time.
Yeah. I saw an article the other day, or yesterday. It's like Wrexham's are targeting promotion. They should worry more about relegation. And I'm like, yeah, that's probably true. Like, that roster is not a promotion roster. That roster looks a whole lot like a last 7 years QPR roster.
No, if they get promoted, I don't care what they spend because they don't have the money for it. They'll finish the Premier League season with under 5 points.
Yeah, they're not there. Like,
they know that too,
for sure. And they need to consolidate. They need more investment. They've got all kinds of stuff. Like, if Wrexham can just stay in the championship for 5 or 6 years while they figure all this out, that's a win. And
yeah, that's really the model for a lot of those clubs too. Like, you have somebody like Birmingham who has like $1 million, infinite money. There's more money than a lot of Premier League clubs, but like the vast majority of clubs that kind of come up from that League 2, League 1 pipeline, the goal is like 5 years in the championship.
Which, again, considering the English pyramid and how many teams there are and how much money there is, like, being a consistent championship team is an achievement.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of us kind of like don't view it that way, but like, being up at a Premier League championship level consistently is really difficult to do for anybody.
Yeah, I mean, I talk about them because take my team, but QPR is not a massively rich team or anything like that. But if you look at the budget, it's pretty low. They're really trying to lean into developing more players and going young, and consistently being in that mid-pack championship is where they live right now, and that's okay. Like 1-1 draw yesterday against Preston. I know, and the goal was an own goal, so it's not like they actually did anything on their own. But it's hard to stay in that league, and I think unless you actually really pay attention to that league, you don't understand how fucking wild it is. I think Wrexham's a fascinating story. Happy for Charlton, by the way. They got a win in their first match. I was really interested in the Birmingham match. The Birmingham match got spicy on Friday. I don't know if you guys watched it, but Birmingham City was playing Ipswich. So team that got relegated versus team that got promoted. And that game got real nasty in the last 15, 20 minutes.
Including a Birmingham fan.
Yeah. Birmingham ended up winning 1-0. But Birmingham's the kind of team, like, with them and Sunderland, like, if they get their shit together and they get the money together, they've got the stadium and the fan base and everything, that they're really not lower level teams in the English pyramid. They've just got to get their shit together. And it looks like both of them are doing that.
Yeah, also, like, not hiring Wayne Rooney tends to be better for your club. Note to Birmingham. Anything else we want to cover?
No, I think the only thing is, like, just PSA to everyone who listens, and we appreciate that you do, that it's going to be a hodgepodge of hosts for the next few weeks.
Yep.
All of us are either traveling or have stuff going on. So be prepared for not full panels for a little while.
Yeah, I may have some guest hosts. We'll see what I can put together, but we may just do a couple like voice note episodes or things like that, or something. But you may get stuck with me doing like a 10-minute episode of just me talking and then going nah and throwing everything away and going, all right, here we go. I will say congratulations to Liverpool, who is currently leading the Community Shield. As we all know, the Community Shield is a bigger trophy than the Carabao Cup or the League Cup, whatever you want to call it. But it only matters if your team wins it. So they're up 2-1 right now, about the 70th minute. So looking pretty good for Liverpool to start the season off with a trophy.
Isn't that basically just the Birmingham Bowl?
Yeah, kind of. Or the Taco Shack Bowl.
No, the Taco Shack Bowl is an actual rivalry.
Yeah, I know. It's sort of the Cricket Celebration Cup or whatever it is. Cricket Celebration Bowl.
Well, no, that's an actual game too. The Celebration Bowl is it's the national championship for
yeah, it's the HBC championship.
HBCU championship. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like this feels more like the Pop-Tarts Bowl without the fun mascot.
I will have to double check when Farmageddon is, because they are sending the Pop-Tarts.
Farmageddon is in 2 weeks.
Okay.
So,
maybe we'll just do a live stream of that with whoever's available.
Farmageddon is week 0, August 23rd. So.
Okay.
It would have been really funny had they put that in a like agricultural city in England to really like lean into the Farmageddon thing, but I know that they would never do that.
I mean, they're in Ireland, so there's plenty of places. They just probably don't have stadiums.
Like if there was ever I'm sure nobody else has watched the last season of Blue Mountain State, but they do a game where they like build the football field out of a cornfield, and if there was ever a game to do that for, it's this one.
They should like do it at Field of Dreams or something. A neutral site at Field of Dreams that make it in the Farmageddon.
We'll make it happen with Pop-Tarts.
Yes.
Gotta have the Pop-Tarts. All right. Cool. Well, on behalf of Scott, Brad, and absentee Seth, thanks for suffering with us. Bye.
Promise here for Austin Jarrett Stroud. It's Diego for goodness! He has written his name into Austin folklore. They just won't go away. Oh, he hits the upright again. That's impossible.
The Bears' season's going to end on a double doink.
Altidore squares it. Dempsey's missed it. Donovan has it. From hope, there is glory.